couldn't remember the other name. But yeah.
Oh, the Northdale Hotel is
You have one?
Route 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Connecting. Oh. Yep, I have my sound turned all the way up. Let me know if I should turn it down.
You should just turn it up when you're talking, when you're doing it, I think, because you get the feedback online.
Okay, but how is Ellen going to be able to hear it?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Are there chipmunks on there? What is that?
I don't know.
Sarah, did you take this?
Yeah.
I wasn't here, it's not like it.
Oh, thank you.
There it is. Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I can hear. I'm eating dinner. You don't need to hear me chewing. That's why I'm here.
Yes.
And you could just do her and everybody.
No, that's fine. Turn the camera off.
Sorry, guys.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Yeah, nice to see you in person. Yeah. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I think that you guys are there, and then I think we just have Norris, two other people, maybe three. So if it's just
I'm on the
keep
screen. I'm on
social
the very end of
be
the
okay.
screen. So
Yeah, thanks.
She's on the screen, she's talking, so she'll be on the bottom. So you want to share her? So, on the bottom right.
there may be a way. Yeah, I think I.
Yeah, this is the bag.
I'll be done. Alright. Okay. Do not have to leave this cord though, right?
That's what I'm calling for, you got to plug it.
But do I leave?
Yeah,
Cord, just
put it in the
box.
cord, yeah.
Alright. Sounds good.
This is the other stuff there. I think I would look at it.
Yeah.
Part of it.
Is there what's going on? It's not public hearing?
No.
That'd be good, just avoiding contact. Somebody that's kicking.
I have a question for Vivian or Cliff, perhaps, whoever's in town hall.
Yes.
Are there other folks? Are there other folks participating, sitting at the dais, perhaps?
No, we're not. Meeting remotely. Yeah, we got Joanne, Art, Alan, John, and myself here.
You both have.
Oh, so we have a quorum, that's
You
good.
gotta turn hers down.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to my,
Yeah, you're gonna have to
Yeah,
turn
you have to turn that down.
It has to be on TV, so you gotta have Vivian's on for the live feed and for the YouTube recording.
I have mine turned down halfway now.
Okay,
And I'm already,
you're on this.
I can't be, yeah, any more isolated.
Right on.
That any better?
I don't know, I'm not hearing anything.
That any better?
There's no feedback anyway. I'm hearing you at low volume, but I am hearing you.
Can you hear that, Ellen? You guys can hear me?
I'm turning it up a little bit, see if that's,
Hear me in real life?
well, that's a
All
little
right,
better,
I
right?
think we're there. You guys are gonna miss out on Mark and Ellen, so we'll have to just repeat questions if you guys can't hear. All right, let's begin this meeting. If everyone would rise.
Yeah, okay, but actually, when he was talking just now, and I have it part of the way up, there's no feedback, so I think he was just talking, just for a test, and we didn't get any feedback. Okay. Yeah.
Cliff, I have a question to make,
Oh, well.
put to Joyce.
I don't know
You
if
want
there's
me to
anything we can do
record?
about that.
I think Ellen's recording, yes.
Well, the meeting needs to be recorded.
Sandy's recorded because he started the meeting, so he has to be the one to record it.
No, I understand that, but we sent him to record
additionally.
Oh,
because Ellen's filming it. Is this working for you?
oh, yes, yes, we do for playback for minutes. I need his recording because sometimes.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry,
Go
thanks.
over. Sarah's requesting it, it's helpful to her.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I will do that beginning now.
Okay, this is a regular planning board meeting, March 10th. Bear with us. If anyone can't hear, and needs anything repeated in here or remotely, please just speak up and ask. We've got Ellen Hart, our consultant with us. Robert Frisch. Ellen. Hello. Who's PM?
Design and firelight, pictures.
Violet, okay. LI.
I think when people in the room are talking,
How are you? And I see Sam, and then who's our last? John.
But then when the
Who do we have down there?
people on the screen are talking, turn it up. Yeah.
Jennifer Preston. Who are you with?
I'm with Shelter, the architecture firm with Firelight.
Okay.
Turn it up when they talk and they'll turn it down when they talk. Yeah.
Here?
Art Christie.
Yeah.
Joanne Howe. Here. John Horn.
Here.
Alan Shiner.
Here.
Sam Spada. Can you hear me?
Yeah, oh, here.
Vivian Wilton.
Here.
So we have all members present for quorum.
Wow.
Did everyone have a chance to look over the minutes? From the previous meeting? Yep. Did anyone have any comments or corrections for Sarah?
I think Sarah did an amazing job. There was a little typo, I think you got my email,
I
right?
did, and just, it was Grace that did the minutes, so.
What's that?
It was Grace that had done them in the last minute.
Oh, okay.
She's aware that. you-
Oh, also,
Thank you.
okay.
I'll let her know. But thank you.
No one has any comments?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I second.
All in favor?
I was recused.
Yeah, sorry. And the two, right? Yeah.
communications, the board's received an email from Brent Coach. We all saw that about the training opportunities here. Okay, next, old business. First up is Crossroads. We just saw Jack walk in here for the renewal of their special permit. We haven't been able to do anything, COVID and complicated. Would like to make a motion to extend the special permit for another year.
Make a motion to extend the permit for the Crossroads project for one more year.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Oh, sorry, roll call. Elizabeth Guzzo,
Yes.
Art Christie,
Yes.
Joanne Howe,
Yes.
John Horn,
Yeah.
Alan Shiner,
Yes.
Sam Spada. I'm sorry.
Sam, could you hear that?
Let me turn this up.
Sam Spada, aye.
He says aye, yeah.
Bill Van Boston,
Aye.
Okay. That's that. Make sure check. Next up is Firelight. We have Matt Moss and Alan DeMoss and Jennifer and Jake.
Yes, hi everybody. Today we are just going to show you really for the first time some of the plans that we put together. We have a signage plan to share, some elevations and renderings of some of our buildings. These materials have not been submitted ahead of time. We are just putting the finishing touches on
Matt,
it.
can I just cut you off for 1 second?
Yeah, please.
Is everyone remote able to hear him speaking?
Yes, they're close.
Okay, yeah.
We're also not, my partner Pedro was not able to unmute himself.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear Matt?
Can you hear Matt now?
You good?
No.
Oh, no.
I think that helps if you speak into the
You
microphone.
ready to the microphone?
Yeah, right next to it.
Better?
Better?
Yeah, good, thank you. As I was saying, we have a bunch of plans to share. These materials have not been submitted ahead of time because they are really all progressive. But it is our intention to share some of these materials with you today, just for your initial feedback. And then next week, submit our full set of site plan approval drawings. So with that, and then also joining us virtually are Jen and Pedro from Shelter Architecture. They were guiding force behind the master plan and also all the architecture and design of the structures. And Alan is here, and Bob is joining virtually. Okay, yeah, thanks, Alan.
So Matt and I are going to alternate showing different sheets, but what we've done is we've compiled a full set that basically includes. We compiled a full set that basically includes the architectural drawings, the engineering drawings, and the landscape design drawings. So I'll walk you through the set with Matt. Cover sheet, I don't really know explain anything, just basically includes the project name, all the consultants involved. We had shared with the board a while back an existing conditions plan that it's just the existing site, which as you know is an 80 site campground, and we are repurposing it to an 80 site campground. Series of interior road networks, 2 wells, sewage disposal systems, water frontage, utilities. Not really much else to cover on that. This is what we've been doing a lot of work on, is the current architectural drawing for the site. How is that if I twist it a little bit this way?
I'll make some comments on this architectural site plan. This is very much in keeping with the design intent that we've been sharing over the
Can you stand in the place?
I am so sorry.
over the course of a year or so that we've been having a conversation. The plan, as we discussed last time, has been modified to incorporate the lessons from the Christmas flood that occurred, moving tents and critical infrastructure outside of the red areas. Those red areas, again, are the areas that took some scouring, where the material was lost in the flood. In the white areas, it was either dry or the material was deposited. The one change in this plan that since the previous version we looked at is in response to Sam's comment. We took the line of tents that was really had a toe on the 100-foot setback, and we moved them further back. All of them have been moved back at least 10 feet, some of them 15 feet. And we put 2 of those tents into our second phase. So those won't be constructed initially, but all of those have been pushed back at least 10 feet, and in most cases 15 feet. Aside from that, the plan is substantially similar to what we presented previously. Are there any questions on the site plan, general questions about the site plan that I can help the board understand?
This is Sean, if you can hear me, because if I can't see the plan, it sounds like you have set further back from the 100-foot back from just over the line change. Is that correct? Did I hear correctly?
That's correct. That's correct. I think in almost all cases, we came back at least 15 feet. I mean, one of them might come back only 10 because it was constrained by a roadway. And we actually took your suggestion to move the pathway to the riverside for the tents on the end here. And we accessed the tents from that side, and that allowed us to push the tents a little further in. Like I say, in most cases, 15 feet or more.
Thank you.
I have a question then. So if the pathway's on the stream side, and in case that there's a chance of flooding, is there an alternate access?
Yeah, I think that, well, the site is pretty open.
Okay.
Generally. This is an existing roadway, and it's, we're just coming off of that.
So they'll just go through, okay.
I mean, we do not intend to operate during the flood event. I mean, if we come into a situation where the river is going to crest the banks, at that point, we would have already evacuated.
The next page is the civil site plan. And what we've done here is we've included parking schedule in accordance with town zoning code, the R1.5 and R3 zoning compliance table, typical legend, plus also we've done signage on the site, because since it's going to have, it's going to have a small road network with parking areas, we wanted to make sure people knew where they were going. Right now, when you drive through the existing campground, you just kind of choose a road and go where you think you should go. This is going to be delineated a lot better with signage than it currently is. So we've done a series of parking signs, one-way signs, stop signs, service vehicle only signs, things like that, so people know which direction to go. There is a combination of one-way roads and two-way roads. Those will all be signed as well. They're all indicated here through some symbols. We're going to leave a set of plans for you. We'll generate more. And they're summarized down on this table. The couple other things I should mention. Parking includes phase 1 and phase 2 parking. Those parking areas are coded by which phase they are. The bulk of the parking spots are going in phase 1. There's 140 parking spots in phase 1. There's another 40. There's 139 in phase 1. There's another 41 in phase 2. In both cases, it's more than we need for the first phase and second phase of the project. We've also, in the parking tabulations, accounted for the fact that some people may be coming in the outside town event. We're anticipating that if there's an event, for the most part, the people that are holding the event would lease out the entire campground, but maybe you have some local relatives or friends here for a wedding that would not be staying there. So we count another 25% people coming in for an event. Similarly, there will be food services we mentioned during earlier presentations. We make sure there's enough parking for up to 50% of food service customers to be coming in from the outside. That's all covered in the table. The existing roads at the site are basically just gravel farmlands. That's really all we're planning for the future. Nothing, there was never anything formal out there. The site is all banked on gravel with a sandy loam layer on top. We're basically grading roads with the existing material, dressing it up a bit, but basically maintaining the same rural character it has now for gravel roads. Our paths around the site, you'll see there's a lot of small paths. The paths, there's a full hiking perimeter path, which is going to be a 3-foot wide wood chip surface, where the wood chips will put right on the existing grade, once we clear brush and things out of the way. And there's a series of golf cart paths for doing maintenance on the camping units. Those golf cart paths will also be wood chip surface, and usually basically for employees, not for people who drive golf carts around the site. And those are going to be 7 feet wide, those will be wood chip surface as well. I'll get into the detail sheet a little bit later. We've also up here and over here indicated where the existing and proposed sewage systems and sewage reserve areas are. As we mentioned at the previous meeting, we had a successful series of site deep tests and site percolation tests with the health department. And the system will be set up with a full initial sewage system and a full 100% reserve area that's a set-aside area in case for some reason there's problems with the initial area. There's 2 wells on the site, one up near the front entrance, one down here. Those will continue to feed the site. There will be a new water distribution and sewage collection network to the site. Some of the parking areas we have adorned with split rail fences so people don't, kind of leave the parking area, start driving into the lawn area. We have a few other features on the site. As Matt mentioned before, we've shown the new water course embankment, the Associated Street embankment. We show the setback from there. Similarly, we did the same setback up here. All the rectangular sites you see are the platform sites. The triangles are 8 tent sites, which we described in previous meetings. That's kind of all I had as far as the site plan. You'll get a chance to review it more in detail as we your consultants. At this point, we can flip on the next sheet unless there's any questions on landscape.
Yeah. So the next 2 sheets are going to be the landscaping sheet and the landscape lighting sheet. I can briefly preview what you're going to see, but it's very information dense, and we, respectfully, because I don't want to study it carefully. The sheet consists of a planting schedule that is mapped to a series of 5 zones. It's mapped to a series of 5 zones, and each zone is treated differently. There's a river edge park. There is the staff entry area. This is like a back of house area in the front. There's a vehicle and parking core. That's kind of the vehicles are contained in a central core of the property. And then we've delineated other groupings, tent site, forest, and stuff. And each one has different design intent. The unified design intent throughout the whole property is it should feel very natural, it should feel like a rewilding, it should be clean, it should be contextual, with a riverside campground. So I'm going to leave it there. I will say that within the immediate vicinity of the tent, within 3 feet, we're going to cut down the Japanese knotweed that exists on property. But that's really the limits of the clearing that happens around the tent. It's really just you go 3 feet out and you clear the vegetation that might hamper airflow and cause mold to grow and stuff like that. But beyond that, it's all preservation and rewilding. Adding some other clusters of plantings that should feel natural and natural.
I have a question. People want to go by the creek side, just dip in, or can I go anywhere, or is there a beach?
There is not there's somewhat of a drop down for most of the embankment. The embankment is 3 to 5 feet high, and along most of the riverfront. There is, yeah. So on our adjacent property over here is a large stone beach. That is not our property, that is state land. But there's an entrance onto that state land that currently exists, sort of here. And that's a spot where guests could walk out and make contact with the river. There's another spot here where there's kind of a slope down, but I'm not sure what would happen there. We are not intending to make any alterations within 100 feet, to the stream bank or any of that kind of stuff. That's kind of what it is.
The only work we'd be doing within the 100 feet is where we have existing road networks, we'd be fixing them up. So those did suffer some damage during the flood.
I mean, cutting brush and some minor stuff. To the extent that a tree is removed, we keep the root system intact to stabilize the shore.
There's also notes on this plan regarding any dead or diseased trees. We would be addressing as well in these various areas, because you do not want to run the risk of a tree hitting a platform, a tree hitting a tent, a tree hitting from the structure, going across a road.
Were there any other questions? So at our next meeting as well, our landscape architect will join us, and if there's any specific questions about plantings or specific strategies, he'll be available to answer. But should I move on now to the lighting? This is what the lighting sheet looks like. There's photos of each, images of what each type of fixture is. This is not a brightly lit site by any stretch of the imagination. Most of what the largest component of the lighting you see here are our path lights. On the cart paths, so cars stay on the road network. Usually your experience of walking around the site is on a path. A 7-foot wide wood chip path, that's how you get to your tent. That path is lit with a solar fixture that is motion activated. So it's solar powered, it's motion activated, it's not on all the time. When you approach it, it'll come on. And those are spaced once every 30 feet or so along the cart path. At each tent site, there is a post with a small light on it that is dusk to dawn, and that marks the entrance of each path to the tent site. And then there's a small amount of these are the parking lot lights. These are the lights that are on those posts. This is the solar lights that are along the path. There's a few parking lot lights, and they're still labeled here. Everything is dark sky compliant. There's a couple of lights on the stair treads and a few spotlights in also dark sky compliant just in some of the back of house utility areas. And that's pretty much it for the lighting on the site. It is not meant to be brightly lit. All of the light is warm color temperatures, so 2700 K, 3000 K, I think is the blueness limit to about 3000 K, but everything is very warm. And yeah, that's the lighting. But I mean, obviously you'll have a chance to study this and ask more questions about it, but that's just a little preview of that.
The next two sheets are detail sheets. These are typical details. Some of them may be subject to change, but we just provide basic details like what we may be doing for shrub planting, retaining wall, split rail fence details, a gate where something is service vehicles only. We don't want somebody to be driving down a road and they start driving down a path. Woodchip path details, gravel road repair details, gravel road installation details, water sewer conduit details. Basic details like that on sheet 6, our handicap spot sizing and our handicap spot signage. On the site plan I showed earlier, it does also call out the number of handicap spots we have, which does exceed what the ADA requirements are. Sheet number 7 is additional details. Some preliminary stormwater details, which we'll be including in our SWIP. Site signage type of details, a very natural type of signage where it will be a wood sign, arrows will be built right into the sign, lettering of appropriate size that's going to be legible. We also did bring a series of 11 by 17 copies of the facility's road sign detail. So we'll be doing a new sign out by the entrance, a yard arm type sign, which Matt has copies of right there, which we can hand out.
Yeah, so we can just, since we're talking about the sign, I'll just mention, I think you'll recognize right away, I can come around.
So any visitors are in your tents? I couldn't drive in with an RV.
No, there's no more RVs there. It's the tents that we provide, which we have renderings of today, and then just those 8 pop-up tent sites that are on the river that we're preserving as an existing use. But there's no driving in or RVs in any of those.
People could bring their own tent? No.
That's the 8 sites.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to bring your own tent either. I think that's not going to be part of the business plan.
Oh, you'll supply the tents for the
Well, like
riverside?
it'll be some kind of cool setup of tents, on the ground that we'll supply. Yeah.
For those 8,
For those 8, yeah.
Everything else is a platform. So you have 72 platforms and 8 designated pop-up tent sites.
So the roadside sign that marks the front entrance of the property is incredibly contextual to Plank Road. There's 4 other signs that have this exact style. It's this character timber yard arm sign. Our version of it is supported with some rope, with some lashings at the joint, and just a firelight sign that hangs out. So you'll have a chance to study this, but it's all wood except for the rope, which is hemp. Well, it's steel cable rather than hemp.
It's illuminated.
Yeah. Oh, and there's some hidden LED downlights in these outer poles here that shine light down on the sign, so it's not actually down. So we will pass these.
Why is it called firelight if there's no fires?
Well, there's no.
Does everybody have a fire pit?
No, there's no fire pits at each tent site. Instead, we have fire pits that our staff maintains in the vicinity of the lobby and along the river edge part. So they are in that river edge part and in the yard, the area between the lobby and the river. There will be, a number of fire pits that we maintain.
A few.
Well, yeah.
A few fire pits.
Yeah. But it's under our staff control. And that's how we do it in our facility in Pittsburgh.
Is the sign going to be lighted at night?
It is. It's lit.
I mean, all night, even, so you won't be turning it off?
No, I think it'll be, I don't know the answer to that question. What hours the sign is lit. But it is a subtle lighting that comes down from a close distance. It's not, a floodlight shining on the sign. It's integrated into the sign, so I don't know the answer to that. Was there other questions?
I had a question.
Yeah.
Not about the
Yeah,
lighting.
that's a good question.
I've been missing a lot of meetings, I've been trying to watch everything, but this might have been next. If there's an emergency in any of the tents, will emergency vehicles be able to get to the site, say someone on a platform in that tent is ill and they can't be moved, can the ambulance get to that site?
Right, so let's go back to the site plan. I'll go back to the site plan in a minute, but the short answer is the road network does not go to each tent. Each tent is accessible via a 7-foot wide path, which is large enough for a pickup truck. Perhaps not a full-size ambulance in every case. But we will have provisions on property where we have a cart, one of our golf carts will have kind of like the stretcher type thing that you see at a football game, you know, that would be able to transport, it is our plan not to use cars on the pads during the season, just to keep them good looking.
Yeah.
But in the off season, we will be putting pickup trucks on the road. You know, it is usable for that purpose. Of course, in an emergency, we would absolutely, you know, bring a car onto the path to access.
Okay, thank you.
Is there going to be a cutoff time after which you don't allow people to check in?
No.
No.
No, there's quiet hours. You know, there's quiet hours, but no, there's no check-in time.
And as far as the food service, are you expecting people who are not staying at the campground to come in to use the food service?
Yes, I think that could happen, sure.
And we've addressed that in the parking as well.
That's why I'm asking, because you mentioned that. What kind of food service do you expect?
So the primary food service is we call it snack shack. It's kind of a upscale snack shack. It's a counter service restaurant, but you know, no table service. You can go to an order window, you order your food, and then you pick it up at the order window, and then it's in the lobby. It's in the lobby. So that's the primary component. We also have a market, and in that market we can sell you know, foods and drinks, but you know, the prepared foods would come out of the kitchen, and a bar. Also in the lobby, as we have in Ithaca. And we also have a grill program. So we have grills where you can, as a guest, buy a pre-seasoned, pre-portioned steak, for example, and then grill it yourself, you know, on a grill where we provide the utensils and the charcoal and set it up for you. So those are the components. Oh, and then we also do a breakfast. So it'll be like a continental type breakfast with some hot items. And that also takes place in the lobby. We're going to get to the lobby plan, and then I can show you exactly where it goes.
And what is your season? And it's from
So it's May 1st, it's May through October.
includes May 1st.
It's a 6-month season that runs May through October. And then we're entirely closed.
Outside of that,
Outside of that, it is not operational. Okay, so we are moving into some of the architectural plans, and I'd like to invite Jen Preston from Shelter, if she's virtual out there somewhere, to introduce herself and talk a little bit about her thoughts on the project for a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, she's not on this one?
She's on that one.
Oh, I thought we were doing here.
You want me to turn it up?
You want to turn your speaker
She's
on?
not even on this.
I'll turn it up and Clifton can turn it down.
Mute my mic.
Okay.
All right, can you guys hear me okay yet?
Okay, I don't so.
Yes.
Matt and Alan, are you able to hear
Yes, we
me?
can hear you. Yep.
You're coming in loud and clear.
Oh, excellent. I was worried I wouldn't. I'm so glad to hear it. Okay, good. Well, hi everybody. My name is Jennifer Preston, and my partner, who is also on the call with us, is Pedro Marlejos, and our company name is Shelter. I'm located in Woodstock, and we are extremely excited to be here and to present the project to you all and to show you our beautiful drawings. I hope you like them. The project is near and dear to our hearts. The entire ethos of the project is of course to bring people to this place, to connect them to nature. They can experience the Esopus River and Romer Mountain and Mount Tremper, and the way that we've situated the lobby building in particular is very much in celebration of this gorgeous site that we're on. I'm going to give just a broad overview, and then I can't see what's happening in the room right now, but I'll give a broad overview, and then if you guys have specific questions, I know Matt can turn to a very specific building page, and so he can point to whatever the answers to those questions might be. I'm doing this a little bit blind, so forgive me for any awkwardness that's coming across. So just an overview on our intent relative to the materials. We very much intend to use locally sourced material to the degree that we can, and the biggest issue really is to ensure that they are durable, and in the case of any contact with floodwaters, that they are flood resistant. We are, of course, designing this site to be very resilient to the flood issues that are present for us, and we're actually excited by the challenge of that, and see that coming a lot in our practice as architects. We like uncomplicated structures and very simple material palettes, which you'll see on the pages. The intent with the volume and the massing is that the gathering spaces in particular feel very intimate when you're in them, and that they also feel appropriately scaled to place from the roads and from other visual access points around the site. And so we've broken down the scale of the gathering space, particularly the lobby, into a couple of roof lines. It evokes a kind of village feel or a single structure which has been added to over time, as opposed to like a big fancy building that's sort of landed there and came out of nowhere. We definitely don't want that feel at all. Our materials are, very nature-based. They are about natural wood. We're doing Gabaloom roofs, which are very durable. Obviously, a lot of the canvas material is in all of the structures. The event tent itself, it's integrated into the lobby look and feel, and then of course all of the lodging structures have it as well. And yeah, that's kind of a very quick overview. I want to give you guys all the time for questions, so I'll stop there and see if there's any query.
Yeah, thanks, Jenna. Should I maybe show a little about the plans, or were there any early questions for Jen? No?
I cannot hear anybody, and I am feeling like nobody heard me.
Yeah.
Getting
No, we heard you. We heard you.
Okay.
It's clear. I'm a little handicapped in that I can't get visual here.
I'm all the way
But
up.
your
I'm all the way
narrative
up.
was very
He just needs to
descriptive.
talk
I
into
like
the
the
microphone.
expression of the types of materials. If we get there's no way that you've got a PDF or anything that you could present, do you?
I absolutely do have a PDF that I could present. Am I able to share my screen? Yeah, I
think
can.
you can.
Okay.
Oh, brilliant. There we go. That's what I'm looking
She's
for.
not on the video.
Oh, great. I don't know who just brought that up. It's not me.
She's
but
just
somebody
sharing her
did.
screen, okay.
Is that somebody on your side? Sam?
Not sure who, but I appreciate it.
Oh, Pedro did.
So what are we looking at in section here? Is this the lodge?
Yes, so this is our lobby lodge, and this view is it's really small on my screen, of course. So this is our view from the interior road to the property, which we've called Meadow Road. It sits across a natural grass meadow with natives and adaptives. And it is intended to be very porous at its center because on the other side of this is the Esopus River. I don't think you'll actually be able to see the water surface from the road or potentially even the meadow. You have to kind of get through the building and to the other side to really get surface, but you'll certainly get that valley sensibility. You'll hear the water, you'll know it's there. And so we're really trying to connect people right away as soon as they see this lobby building to the water. On the right side, which sort of looks a little bit black on my screen, is intended as a wood porous screen for the market. The structure on the very, very far right is the kitchen massing. And then there's a back of house section, which we're wrapping in what we call Coyote Fencing, which is this kind of character wood. You guys probably know what Coyote Fencing is, but
I
it's
don't
just
know
this
what
sort
that
of...
is.
Oh, it's just like loose logs, or like sort of natural logs that haven't been milled down to standard lumber. And then they're stitched together in a really tight way. You see them kind of all over here.
Can you go through 1 through 7 on the right-hand side? This is really helpful to look at the samples for the call-outs.
Totally, yes, absolutely. So the first material is our roofing material, which we're using pretty sparingly. Yeah. Can you see it on the screen, number 1, polycarb?
No, it starts at number 4 on my page.
Oh, Pedro, zoom out a little bit. There we go. How's that, Sam?
I can see half of 3.
Boy.
I don't know if there's a way to, if you could, oh, wait a second, you know what? I can pan. Never mind, I just panned it. Okay, there we go.
We'll have too much control. But great. So,
Okay,
are
I
you
see
able-
number 1.
Okay, excellent, excellent, good. So the polycarbonate material is intended on the lobby roof centerpiece, where you see that we're using a kind of gable form in the roof. We are doing a very shallow pitch there because the intent is that that polycarb isn't actually visible from any of the views. We're using it because we really want the interior of that space to get a lot of daylight. And then we're shading away and kind of controlling the heat gain with a series of canvas fabric that'll hang, so it feels very much like the lodging tents do, but you still get that natural light coming in without using expensive glass. The decking is going to be a Western larch or similarly durable wood material. The canvas material that you see as the curtains that are in that gable structure, pretty self-explanatory. And then the solid walls, we're really looking at a hempcrete or a CMU-like material that will skim coat with a kind of plaster. And the hempcrete is very mold resistant and very durable and very good for flooding conditions. So that's part of why we're using it on the solid surfaces. It's very tactile in its feel, and it feels very close to an earthen, and it is an earthen-based material, which is another reason we like it. The scrim or the screen, which is unfortunately reading very black on the screen, but is intended to read very light and breezy. I think it's just a PDF resolution thing, but that is natural wood material, and it'll have a lot of porosity, and it's really just about, kind of setting a zone of a space with a little bit of bug screen material integrated into it to control for the bugs. But to keep visual access and keep the building to feel really open. Gavel and roof, very self-explanatory, and then the fencing that I had described below. And you can, Pedro, maybe zoom into that number 7 so that they can get a sense of what I mean when I say like the natural timbers that are woven together. It's almost like a willow fence, but the members of the timber are bigger and chunkier and more durable. So I'm not sure if anybody's talking, but just in case I'm missing a question, maybe something is muted.
I think that was very
Thank you.
Oh, good, excellent.
So the structure that Jen was just walking through is the main lobby. I will just very quickly say, this is the back of house area. This is kind of where the food service, the restaurant, counter service restaurant exists. This is kind of where you come in and check in. And these are bathrooms over here. So I will move on. And I think this, when you guys have a chance to study this and look it up close, I appreciate that it's going to be a little hard to see from the distance. But I think this drawing kind of really, the bird's eye view kind of tells the story of the massing of the space. There's kind of this open, breezy, gabled center section, a little kind of market courtyard where the counter service restaurant and the market exist, and then the bathrooms and some staff offices are in this side, and it's really ringed with guest seating and decking. So, there will be a lot of the tent canvas incorporated into the lobby design as well, tying back to the tent experience, but also providing, shade and separation from different spaces within the lobby. We have a couple of other structures to just preview here. So there is a vent tent and a support building that goes next to the vent tent that is on the other side of the property from the lobby. The lobby exists down here. setback, I don't know, maybe 150 feet from the river, 130 feet from the river. The event program exists on the other side of our two main meadows, closer to the Plank Road side. And it consists of a tent and a support building. Both of these elements are not going to be constructed in our initial phase. These are two elements that we are going to bring online in our second phase.
How big is the event?
Jen, do you have the square footage of the event tent, Nancy?
I believe let me just get the absolute correct answer.
We'll get back to you with that exact program. It's got a max capacity of 200 persons is the max occupancy that we envision for it. In most instances, it would not be used for that many. And it's a kind of a long load tent, essentially. And we will have the ability to kind of put up half and leave half as a open decking, depending on what the use is. And then in this view, there's a support building behind.
What's in the support building?
Yeah.
Bathrooms. What? Bathrooms.
Storage and bathrooms.
Is it four? How many bathrooms are you putting, you know? 4,000? Yes.
4,000 square feet.
4,000 square feet.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Pedro was also proud of the building areas on the main figures, which is all along. Outside of the campus area, there's an additional 2,000 square foot of open patio. And then into, a little bit into the tree line, we've woven in another 1,110 square feet of decking. And then the support building is the final 585 square feet of enclosed building that you see under that table.
Right, so summing that up, there's the tent, there's a patio that wraps the tent, which is really kind of on the front side and the side. Behind the tent, between the tent and the tree line and into the tree line, are a series of decks where you can kind of loop through and have breakout sessions, or just walk kind of a little bit into the trees, and those are an additional 1,000 square feet.
What's in the support tent?
Yeah, so the support building has bathrooms and storage. It's bathrooms and storage.
Any cooking facilities?
There's no cooking facilities in it. No, there's no kitchen in that building at this time. I mean, to the extent that that would be a separate set of approvals if we went back for that. But no, we're not envisioning cooking in that building. Here we have more plans of that building. So this is another view of the event tent and the deck that goes kind of off to the side. And yeah, here, so this is that event support building that has bathrooms and spot for storage space, but it's where people could set up for the event and the like, where we can store furniture and the folded up tent and stuff like that.
And how many bathrooms are in there?
Jen, how many bathrooms do you guys have?
There are 5. There are 4 individual counter rooms and an ADA bathroom.
So the tents do not have bathrooms?
The tent, there's no bathrooms in the tent. They exist in the building off to the side of it.
So this bathroom serves the event tent, whereas each platform tent, the overnight occupancy, has its own bathroom.
They do or they don't?
They do.
Yeah, they do.
So the 72 platform sites have their own bathrooms, but then for an event, there's a bathroom at the event tent, the support building, similar to there being a bathroom in the lobby.
Okay, so the next sheet is about the tents themselves, the guest sleeping tents. So were there any other questions about the lobby or the event program before we move on to that? No? Okay. These are the sleeping tents. Jen, did you want to speak to the design intent here, or should I just?
I'm gonna turn hers up, okay?
These tents are functionally similar to the product that we have in Ithaca. It is a canvas wall tent. Sorry, let me do that. It is a canvas wall.
That's what she's talking about.
Yeah, okay. No, I think we're okay. So it is a canvas wall tent that sits on a wood platform. And above that wall tent is a vinyl rain floor. What's different from our program in Ithaca is that also on the same platform.
Do you wanna mute Vivian? Can you mute her computer entirely? She is her speakers off.
Okay.
So they're off now.
Okay.
You guys can hear?
All right. Can you guys hear now?
Yes.
You can hear now? Okay. So what's different from our program in Ithaca is that each tent will have a private bathroom. And that bathroom lives in essentially a little shed that is on the same platform. The bathroom is very open, and it's separated from the outdoors largely by screens. The toilet room is enclosed with panels, but aside from that, the bulk of the bathroom has a lot of airflow, and it's very open and outdoorsy. The materials is wood and canvas. I mean, the toilets around maybe hempcrete or some other similar panels, but by and large it's all wood and canvas. And then at the entryway, we have an infill element that serves as a doorway into the tent. So in Ithaca, you kind of get on the ground and grab a zipper and unzipper your tent to get in and out. We've been looking for a better way to do it, and the better way we've come up with is essentially a door in the front of the tent. That door is going to live in an infill element that is at the front A-frame, which is here, and here. It's going to be a similar lattice trim that we've described elsewhere in the project, and there'll be just an ordinary swing door into your tent through there.
And these tents will come down seasonally. The platform stays, but the tent itself will come down.
Degrees outside.
The camera went off.
Oh, it's on there.
I just turned it on.
Oh, good.
It's recording now. There it goes.
Okay.
Phil let me know.
So 7 of our tents are a different prototype. Rather than one tent sharing a bathroom, it's 2 tents sharing a bathroom. This is really for a family traveling together by and large. And most of these are clustered around the playground that we have planned in the zone of the state. Yeah, there's 7 of these and 60-something of the assemblies.
What is the capacity of each tent?
So there's configurations with 2 queen beds and there's configurations with 1 king bed. And then we could roll in a car. So I think that the max occupancy of a tent with 2 queen beds would be 5 people, and the kings would be 3 people. 2 in the king plus a roll. And then these 2 tent clusters, of which we have 7, most of them, a little more than half, are a king on one side and 2 queens on the other. Some of them, a little less than half, are 2 queens on each side.
Are all the tents going to accommodate children if needed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you gonna allow dogs?
Yes. So these are more views of the tents. This is another view of the 2 tents that show a bathroom. And that is the end of the set. Oh, there's one other plan-related thing I'd like to talk about, which has to do with the front entrance of the property. We have a We are in the process of investigating a modification to the front entrance scheme here. The current front entrance would have guests driving in directly in front of the current Uncle Pete's building that's at the roadside. And we have developed a scheme that we like better, frankly, where the guests would instead come in about 60 feet further south east, I guess, on Plank Road, just before the existing building. And then they come in and more or less bypass that existing cleared area and come around into the road network this way. And then that would allow us to use more of this front area now, screen it off from the road with a fence, screen it off with vegetation, and do more of our back-of-house type activities in that front area. It'll make it much easier for trucks who need to come in and out of that area. They have a U loop to do, and generally it's a scheme we like better. So we are in the process of investigating the feasibility of this scheme, which we believe it will be feasible. And when we deliver to you this full set next week, chances are we'll have a scheme substantially like this one. I will also say that it also takes away the kind of monolithic block of employee parking and carves it up into smaller sections where we can plant around it more easily. The last thing I'll say on this topic is that we have been in discussions with our to-be neighbors across the street about how our entrances would interact with theirs. And our preliminary conclusion is that the distance from this proposed entrance to their entrance, which would be to the south of us, is about 135 feet, which should be sufficient to avoid conflict. I mean, if they were slightly offset, if they were 20 feet apart or 30 feet apart, there could be conflict there. We are continuing to investigate those interactions. But it's our belief that our plan, as per our preference, and their plan, as per their preference, are compatible.
Could you point on big map to where the new entrance to your place will be and the new entrance to theirs would be?
Yes. So the new entrance on this big map would be, so our entrance would be here, and the new entrance to them. Yeah. Well, I can scale it up here because it's 135 feet. So that is going to be.
And we did in our preliminary discussions with the county DPW Highways and Bridges Division, there's no required offset between the opposing driveways, but we will have an offset. And they also did recognize that this is a fairly nice straight stretch of road in this particular area with decent sight distances.
Yeah, it's around here.
Yours will be around there?
Mine will be here and theirs will be here.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's
Theirs will be south of yours?
They'll be a little south. Well, actually, they've got two entrances, right? So their closer entrance will be here, and I think they've got another one that'll be somewhere around here. But it's a big straight. There's really very long sight distances along Plank Road there. And look, I mean, if there are traffic concerns, then we'll come up with something else. But,
Thank you for looking into that across the street.
Yeah.
And our property frontage is, I think, somewhere near 2,300 feet. So we've got quite a bit of we're limited as far as what part we can use for entrance exit. But the good news is, and I mentioned this to the county highway department, that we do have over a third of a mile, a little less than half a mile of frontage, which is good. And you can see from looking at this that it is a fairly straight stretch, and it is fairly level. It's not really until you get closer to the Mount Tremper trailhead where you kind of get that little bit of a bend, some change in elevation further to the west.
So the last bit of business that we have here tonight, to my knowledge, and we'll just ask if Mike has any other issues beyond that, but we have an updated EAF that we're just going to hand in. We're not going to go through it page by page. I will say that it's been updated to match this and to match the other investigations that we've done since the last time we handed in, confirming that there's no endangered species on the property and filling in the actual disturbance and the like that is represented in this plan. Ellen had made some comments to the previous version, and all of those comments have been incorporated into this revision.
Has this been circulated to Ellen and Mark yet?
No,
Literally
this
just
is
came
hot
out.
off the presses, but we're handing it in now, we will send it electronically tomorrow, and we're not looking to discuss it today, we'll discuss it next, in a couple of weeks at the workshop, if that's okay.
So we're going to leave you with one full set of the valid plans and with 10 copies of the EAF, and we'll leave you with copies of your own sign as well.
Yeah, but like I said, we are taking in our final round of changes. The set we get next week is going to be locked and final. So feel free to peruse what you sit here, but we'll give you next week. And I guess my last question to the board is there anything you'd like us to change before we give it to you next week? Are there any areas of concern that we can address in our final round of design?
I've got nothing. Ellen, anything?
Yeah, my one request is that we circulated a comment letter on January 7th. If you could just include a response to that comment letter with your submission, that would help.
Absolutely, yep, we'll do it. Okay, well, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. We're
Thank you very
super
much.
excited for this project. For us, like to see it actually coming together and start seeing these renderings and be able to picture it. It's very exciting. So thank you very much.
What is your proposed opening date?
May of 2022.
You, small thing, our workshop's the last Wednesday of the month, not next week.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, no.
We can do both of you.
Yeah, we'll be, so but next week is when we're gonna submit. We're gonna take this one. All right, thanks again, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
People walk on the way. Yeah, but they can go on the same thing.
They're gonna direct you to the state.
Anybody can go on the same. You can go on the same, but that's no problem.
You're not gonna do it.
It's already and looked at that.
We gotta go down.
I think it's gonna be great. So I'm gonna have it surveyed.
It's not a
Then we'll
issue.
prepare plans.
Thank you.
We do want to.
It's not.
Thanks.
It's rocky, yeah, it's not. It's undercut.
Yeah, the other way, the way state land is more like a beach. That's what I get it from Georgia. Oh, we'll find it.
So next we've got forum. We've got Luke and Durante here.
It's very well. You're introduced to Dory.
Drainage and stuff like that. We were hoping to get some feedback by now, so we could, see where they were at, essentially, and start addressing the concerns.
Does anything on sound on this computer? Huh. It would have to be doing, you want to turn it up?
We're finalizing the split, other documents that we provide for submission. But ultimately, with the reduced scope, all those things out there, two requests from our team is, one, we know that we need to refer to Ulster County Planning Board before you would make a secret determination, and we're wondering if that's something that can be done at this point. Obviously, any approvals or anything like that would be contingent upon
all the DEP, DEC approvals, town approval, everything else. So just to kind of keep the ball rolling, and then ultimately getting the seeker determination and neg deck. And then the second request being, can we make a motion, or can you guys make a motion to open a public hearing? With no expectation of closing a public hearing. We just would like to start to get some feedback, and if that can happen next month as the first open session of that public hearing, any revisions or anything like that, as you know, would be subject to a public hearing, and it would sort of remain open. So again, in an effort to sort of continue to move on and lean on DEC, can we refer to the Ulster County Planning Board, and can we open the public?
I think we can refer, but I don't think we can have a hearing until we get
So
that.
Luke, can you remind me, did you circulate for the agency yet?
Yeah, there's Ulster County Health Department, I'll receive the county planning, I'll receive, yeah.
Okay, can you share that with me?
Yeah.
Just the dates?
Yeah, I could just catch up with Matt and Zero and get that information.
Okay. And then this issue about the public hearing comes up a lot. So the board can decide to have a public hearing as part of the seeker process, or the board can complete the seeker process and then hold a public hearing for the site plan review. You could do public hearings for both processes, or you could choose to just do it for the site plan review, but that one can't take place until the seeker process has been completed.
You have to have the second one, is what she's saying, not the first one.
Cliff, are you speaking? You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. You're saying that we have to have the second public hearing for the site plan, and that has to take place after the seeker, and after the county review. We can't swap those.
That's right.
Right, that's understood. What we were looking to see is, a lot of times we'll have a force determination, and I think that's what Ellen was saying as the former, but again, that's up to the board. From our perspective, it's going to help us, gauge and address any public concerns or comments, that we can roll those into our site plan, and hopefully by the time seeker determination is made, we address any public comments, and then that public hearing after seeker is essentially, just illustrating that everything that had been of concern has made it into the site plan. Again, completely up to the board, obviously. It's just the two things that we wanted to ask for in this meeting.
All right, so you're requesting a seeker public hearing, actually want.
If the board is, again, from our standpoint, we don't expect there to be a whole lot of, whatever is going to come up, we feel is going to come up now, in the seeker public hearing. We would expect that that's held, which just helps us get that much further ahead, sort of another, checking of the box. And then when the site plan, review public hearing is held after seeker determination, in theory, we would expect we would have heard all comments by that.
Okay. What do you guys think?
Public hearing?
I like his idea of getting public feedback so that he could revise the site plan before the whole process is done. And then have another hearing for the final site plan, but he wants to have some feedback during that
And
process.
this doesn't have anything to do with the county's determination, I guess.
No.
This is not the seeker process, separate.
Right. Being that we expect, kind of get DEC comments, DEP comments, additional comments from the board, we're still sort of pushing and pulling up the site design. So if something does come up, we just feel like it's more advantageous to everyone involved that we can roll those into that final site plan and, you know, that public hearing, at least, you know, on some projects, it's been helpful to have that sort of behind us.
All right.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to have a public hearing at the next month planning board meeting on the Orem project. A secret hearing, yeah.
Oh, second.
All right.
Oh, sorry. Clifford Lupo,
Yes.
Art Christie.
Yes.
Joanne Robb,
Yes.
John Horn,
Yeah.
Alan Shiner.
Yeah.
Sam Spada.
That's really all we have for tonight. Just the update on DEC.
Oh,
Oh, no.
hold on. Luke? Oh, hold on, we weren't done voting yet. Sorry, I had you on mute, you couldn't hear her.
Oh. Sam Spada.
Just closing the loop. That's all we really had for tonight.
Sam, are you there? We're voting on the motion to have the secret hearing in April.
There's a motion on the table, that's to be completed.
I don't know if Sam can hear us. He's disconnected? Oh, okay.
Sam Spada.
Okay,
Oh, he's there.
there it is.
Sam Spada.
Aye, yes.
Vivian Welton.
Yes.
So we'll set the time for that for 7 o'clock. And you'll handle this.
Yeah.
What's the date?
It's in our folders. Let's see.
April 14.
April 14th at 7 p.m.
We are hopeful we'll have more before that meeting in regards to a review response from DEC, DEP, and also County Health. And our SWIP will certainly finalize a motion before that. And we'll submit that as soon as it's ready. Okay. That's good.
So in a typical public hearing, you have to go to the county first. So with secret, you don't need to refer it to the county.
It's a separate process.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay.
That's okay.
Anybody have any questions for Luke?
We're not referring to Ocean County yet, is that correct?
Yes.
I have a question. When are we going to be able to see the final site plan as of before the secret hearing? Are there still being changes made?
Right now, no, there's not. And that's because so you have the most current version. There's no changes being made because we don't have any feedback yet from any of those agencies. So we expect, once we do, there may be modifications required in terms of the septic designs, if any, comments on the open water courses specifically, so a few other things that we expect them to comment on. Once we have those, we'll do our best to turn them around as quick as possible, so we can give you the updated site plan, but as of now, we have from late January is the latest.
So we're ready to pretty much go ahead with the secret hearing with the plan that you have now.
Realistically, if those agencies came back and said everything is good as submitted and we have no comments, which is unlikely, in theory, that would be the plan.
Okay.
To answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
Did you have any comments, Ellen?
No, nothing further.
Okay.
I got nothing else for now. Anybody else?
No.
Okay, thank you, Luke.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too, thanks.
All right. Next up is Norrisdale. No, thank you very much, Ellen. You can.
Thank you, Ellen.
I have a question for the board before we start talking about the details of the Norrisdale project. Why is there a necessity to get a special permit on a pre-existing structure?
It's been schematic use for a long time.
It's been a home.
Well, the 4 motel units were granted a building permit by our building department was it 2 years ago? I don't have it here. It was in the original folder. How do we grant a building permit to repair a motel if it's not a motel? Because it says right in the building permit to repair the motel units. And the second question I have is, has the property owner been paying taxes based on the 4 motel units? There are so many structures that were pre-existing in our town that were just fixed up and opened. I don't understand why this is an exception.
Well, we didn't give the building permit.
I gave the permit and I advised the applicant that a site plan review would be required.
Yeah, but we didn't as the planning board, but the town, he represents our town. He gave a building permit for a motel, to repair the motel units. So at that time, there were motel units. I still don't understand why we need.
But they weren't in use, Alan. They weren't in use for many, many, many years. They was in city.
But there are other properties that have repaired themselves and opened up without coming to us at all.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
That's, you're
Right?
right. You're absolutely right.
So we're making an exception to say this guy has to come, but all the other restaurants that opened up, that were closed for many years, don't have to come. And we didn't do anything as a town about it.
I think that's what I'm going to address tonight later on in the meeting.
Right. And also, this gentleman came to us. We
I
didn't
understand
go to
that,
him.
but I'm just saying that I don't think we have to. I think it's pre-existing, and I'll bet if you looked at the tax records, he's been paying for motel units.
I don't think there's a difference in the tax.
He's paying a tax on those, on the
Right,
property.
but that's part of his part of his property.
I understand that, but if it's not being used, why is he paying taxes on something? Why is he paying taxes on something that's not used? I don't get it, and I don't get why we gave him a building permit for something that's illegal.
Well, you get.
It's
you
not
get assessed
illegal.
For everything that's on your property,
I understand.
whether you're
Right.
using it or not, so he's been paying taxes
Right.
for that
And then we gave
structure,
him
no
a
matter what it
permit to
is.
say that you can fix it all up, and we'll decide later whether we're gonna let you use it. That's what we said to him by giving him the building permit.
No, that's not what we said. We
No,
said,
that's not what we said verbally, but that's what we're telling him, go fix them up and come back later, and what if we don't want to get the building permit? What if we
well,
say,
he took the chance for that because he might not be granted a special use permit. But he certainly has a right to repair a structure that's on his property. It's the use that is the question.
I don't see it that way, I'm sorry.
Well, special use permit is required in every zone in the town of Shandaken for a hotel, motel, or a lodge.
Unless it's pre-existing.
Well, it's pre-existing non-conforming, but it was not used for many, many years. And also, he wants to convert the residence into a motel. So that's a change of use. That's a residential property. But the onus is on him. I gave him a permit. Why should I deny him a permit to fix up a structure on his property?
Because he should come to us first before we give him a building permit.
Well, I advised them that they were going to have to go through this process, so they took the chance.
That's all I have to say.
Can I just add one fine point on that? How we advised our contractor, who didn't advise us. So we weren't aware of it, we didn't take a chance.
Well, he was acting as,
Very well.
Oh, sorry. Better now?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, how we advised our contractor, not us directly, and so we weren't aware for months until we tried to get a certificate of occupancy.
well, the contractor was acting as your representative.
The contractor went to house,
No,
not
it's kind of long.
It's difficult for everybody.
Yeah. So what he's coming to us with is an application for a special permit to open as a motel, correct? And that's what we're looking at.
Is the house going to be a motel or Airbnb?
Airbnb. The whole property will be Airbnb.
How many houses are there in our town that are Airbnb that have never come here?
All of them.
All
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Well said.
And that does require a special use permit. But the town has had a committee going for 2 years,
Right, they've been committed.
and I believe
But have they presented to the town board yet?
they have presented, yes.
Is that finalized?
And they
Well, I think what's going to happen is that at the next town board meeting, it's going to be brought up, probably referred to the planning board and the ZBA for your comments, and then there'll probably be a public hearing.
So we have no short-term rental.
No, we have no law.
We can't give him a special permit for a short-term rental. We can give him a special permit for a motel.
No.
And that's what he's applying for. I mean, the difference in this instance, between an Airbnb and a hotel is staffing, really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they have someone that checks you in and a full-time, a cleaning person there, but he would be hiring the cleaning people and the check-in would be, remotely.
Right.
I mean, the other difference would be public water supply. The water in a motel would be inspected by the health department and tested, so it would be ensured to be safe.
So
the
that-
standards are definitely more strict.
That's underway.
I know, yeah, I know you
Yeah.
said you were gonna do that. If it's a motel, he's required to maintain those standards. I don't know what the alternative would even be, private residence.
Okay.
I like the idea of keeping it as a motel personally. I think that makes sense with the code and practically. I'd like to hear what others think.
So if he has a special permit for a motel, then he has the choice of either running it as a motel or an Airbnb?
No. His permit, he's asking for a permit to operate a 9-room short-term rental in the house and the pre-existing motels.
So it's not your intention to run it as a motel?
Correct.
Okay. So then if he's not running it as a motel, we can't give him a special use permit, but that's what you were saying, Cliff?
Right.
Okay. I don't see the point of,
We can't give him a special use permit for a short-term rental.
For a short-term.
because that doesn't exist yet.
So-
Yeah.
If
So-
this being combined like this doesn't work.
That's what I said in the beginning.
So it's, again, it's difficult to enforce.
Right.
So I don't see how we could give him what,
We could give him a special permit for these 4 units. The separate units
That's right.
from the house. That's all we can do.
And now, could he have an Airbnb on the same piece of property, Helen? Could he have a motel that he got a permit for, a special use permit, and then have an Airbnb in the house that's a permit's not required for?
Well, technically, a permit would be required for Airbnb.
When?
When? From the beginning.
Okay.
You know, but we don't have a law. We don't have anything that I can point to and say, this is our code for an Airbnb. We have a code for bed and breakfast, but they want to be in a separate category. They don't want to be a bed and breakfast because they say they don't supply breakfast. So that's a stumbling issue. And I guess I've had no directive from the town board whether I should be enforcing, cracking down on Airbnb people.
Maybe he never should have mentioned B&B.
well, Cliff, as far as the town is concerned, are there any obligations that he would have to meet as a motel that he wouldn't have to meet as a short-term rental, Airbnb?
Yes, but right now, there's no law for
There's no obligations
But-
for an Airbnb.
He only.
But I mean, for a motel,
For the motel.
for a motel, that he would have to meet certain health department
Yes,
standards.
the motel is more stringent.
But he would also have to register with the county and go through some paperwork with the county.
Doesn't,
Is that,
Well, there's a bed
there's a
tax.
bed tax, isn't that
tax.
currently on Airbnbs already?
We've already done that.
Yeah, county
okay,
registered.
but that as of Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it doesn't sound like motel really applies here. It doesn't sound like he would fit into
Well,
that
it does for the
category.
4 units.
For the 4 units.
But it's just that that's the configuration of his Airbnb rental rather than it being a motel.
We don't use the word motel at all. It's a legacy word for us. Like, it's not what we're running, it's not what we're building. It just is what it was. Yeah. This is a bit of a gray area.
So you just actually want to run an Airbnb? Or 9?
That's all we want to do. Yeah.
They should be reviewed. Really, I mean, that's
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
We can't enforce anything, we can't give you a permit for anything,
I agree with that.
Motel or nothing.
right.
Yeah.
So that sounds great. There's one tiny problem. We have a temp CO right now.
I'm sorry?
We have a temporary certificate of occupancy right now.
Okay.
I need to convert that into a permanent CO for the, what we're calling the motel structure.
I was not able to do that.
He said he doesn't have a CFO.
He has a temporary.
So you have to get a CFO as a single family residence?
Yeah.
As a-
Yeah.
Sure.
And use it as an Airbnb, which is
Yeah.
what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
But we can't grant him a permit for an Airbnb.
No,
We
he,
can't transfer a permit
We're
from
not
us.
asking, just asking for a permit for.
Well, what you're doing is you're granting him the right to keep it quiet and rent it out as an Airbnb.
No, there's nothing in there's no law in our town that says anything about Airbnbs.
Oh, I know that, Alan, I've been on the committee for 2 years.
But that's what we're saying, what he's here for doesn't exist.
That's up to you. But aren't you opening up the door that the next applicant can come in and say, I want the same thing?
I think,
Once the law is put into effect and enforced, then the next person has to go by the law. And he will probably have to come back.
well, whatever procedure Airbnb owners would have to comply with would apply to him exactly the same when that happens. Whether it means coming in front of us or whatever the procedure the board decides, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's your obligation to give him the CFO.
Well, if the building meets the criteria for a single-family house, CO, give it to him.
He would get a certificate of compliance.
A certificate of compliance.
It's not a dwelling.
Right,
Okay,
okay.
It's a single-family home with an accessory building.
right. That's what
Yes,
it is
but
right now.
the motel would get a certificate of compliance, not a CO.
Right, right, because they're existing.
Right.
That makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so,
You want me to just walk out?
But, you know, if I can just bring the board to attention, when I was on the committee, it was the majority of the committee that wanted to totally bypass the special use permit regulation. They wanted to come up to the building department office, fill out an application, and I would grant them a permit.
Right.
And I objected to that. I said,
And
I don't think that should...
object to it too. And I object to it also. They should be coming before the planning board.
Yes, that's what I agreed to. So I voted against the resolution that they passed for that reason. And so I don't know, you're asking me to grant him a certificate of compliance for a motel, which is a business use in a residential zone. You know, you're putting me between a rock and a hard place here.
You want it just for the motel or you want it for the house?
The house has it already.
The house already has it?
Yeah, we're talking about the motel. The
Oh, the
construction
motel.
permit was for the motel.
But my understanding it's a pre-existing non-conforming.
Correct.
Which is
So
that?
what would be the obstacle to giving him a certificate of compliance
The
as
house
a
was a
pre-existing?
residence. That was never a motel or bed and breakfast.
no, but the motel.
I mean, for the motel building, that's what
The
he needs to
motel
see a
building,
vote
yes, is a
of
pre-existing,
certificate.
non-conforming.
Yeah.
Right,
So-
the motel units, he was granted by our town.
Wait, I can only listen to one person at a
The motel
time.
units were granted, whether it was you or somebody else, it doesn't matter. Our town said that you have the permission to fix up these units.
Mhm.
Once he's fixed them up, the last thing that has to be done is for you to inspect to make sure that he fixed them up the right way and say, okay, you fixed them up. That's all you have to do.
It's the use, Alan. It's not the fact that I can't stop him from fixing up a building on his property, but you're asking me to grant the use.
No, I'm not asking you to grant anything, just to say that the building.
You said you wanted a certificate of compliance.
Structurally with the
Okay.
building.
Compliance is
Well-
for commercial, right?
It's commercial use, yeah, in a residential
Occupancy
zone.
is for a residence.
And
That's the distinction here.
the other thing that the committee was very insistent on is that everyone who wanted to get a permit for an Airbnb had to go through a fire safety inspection.
Yeah, but that's not the law yet. I mean,
It's
Yeah,
like-
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
like in limbo.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Joanne, yes.
I agree with those in principle, but it's not, we can't vote on, we can't approve them for something that doesn't exist.
I
And
agree,
you know
I
that
agree.
The people who owned that house before they got it, years
For you.
ago, the Rubos,
Mhm.
I knew him for 35 years. They did use those rooms as a motel.
Oh, I certainly
He
agree
just
with
stopped
you.
using them because his wife didn't want to clean them anymore, that's what she told me. So they just stopped doing it, you know, but they were getting on in years, they didn't want to.
That's why you guys don't want to.
And so they just closed them up and that was it. Yeah.
So he has to he can't give it a commercial classification is what Howie's saying.
Oh.
That he can't give it a certificate of compliance because that's a commercial approval and we're not giving him anything.
Right.
He can't give him a commercial approval without a special permit. We'd have to give him a special permit to operate as a motel for him to give him a certificate of compliance as a motel. Nothing exists for an Airbnb.
Right.
That's basically a single-family residence that just does what it wants.
Once, right.
So,
Mhm.
yeah. And what else could, I mean, that either has to become a single-family residence, or we have to approve him for a motel, or how we can't move forward. That, sum it up?
Yeah, that's well said.
so why don't we approve him for a motel?
That's where I started.
Well, perhaps this would be time to go to the ZBA and ask for a determination of what is an Airbnb.
The hardest part is the health department, right, for the motel thing. You're already doing it. Thank you for taking that extra step. And then when the Airbnb law comes into effect, you could move into that. if it makes sense, or it may not, it may be irrelevant. I don't see a problem with approving him as a motel.
I have a question, if you don't mind. When you issued him the building permit, what did you issue him the building permit for? What did it say? Single-family residence?
It says four
no.
motel units on
It says four motel
We don't have
units.
it anymore. It was in the folder. The building permits were in here, and I don't have it today.
So you issued him a permit for a four motel unit.
Yes.
So why are we changing it?
We're not. That's what I'm saying. It's pre-existing.
Give him a certificate of compliance for a four motel unit.
And he doesn't have to be with us.
Which is what the permit was issued for.
Right.
That's what I said in one of my opening remarks. The permit says 4 motel units. Whether you said it, that he had to come here verbally separate from the document is all we can go by.
Yeah, but
He says he could
it
build-
describes,
He can improve 4 motel units on his property.
Mhm.
He did. You should give him the permit to use it.
I gave him the permit.
No, not the building, the compliance. That he's now in compliance with what you said he had to do on the building permit.
Okay, but a motel unit in a residential zone requires a special site plan review and special use permit.
Well, it was there.
This is pre-existing, only if they're...
It was pre-existing, but it wasn't used for 25 years.
There are plenty of buildings in our town that haven't been used, that were reconstructed as to what they
Well-
were, and are used now, right now.
Okay,
You
which,
can go eat in restaurants that never came before the planning board, that were redone after being closed for several years.
1976 is when the zoning codes were adopted in this town. So anything that pre-existed before that is a non-conforming use, permitted use. So if it was a restaurant and it operated continuously for 50 years,
But I'm telling you, these were not operated continuously. I don't want to mention which ones they were, but they never came before the planning board.
well, I'm not sure I agree with that.
Here's the building.
So I just removed your original application just to give you the most current, but this is the first application. It shows the building.
Building permits.
It's very, we should do that.
There's renovations to existing 4-unit hotel.
No.
Well, just because you call it a motel doesn't mean it is a motel, it's just a word. I always call it the motel.
Could have said structure.
It's a structure.
4-unit structure.
It's a duck.
So a building permit or certificate of compliance for a motel does not obligate him to actually run a motel in it. Is that correct? Okay.
Right. There wa-
But normally you have to get a special permit before you get a building permit.
I agree with you.
I think we did it. I think it may have been a mistake. He should be able to use it as a motel.
Well, we can't issue that.
There's nothing, yeah,
There's
There's
nothing
nothing
the
we can
planning board
issue.
can do.
yeah, it has to be
It's
something.
how.
It's up to Howard.
Well, in my inspection, I will have to consider it, since it looks like a duck and walks like a duck. I'll have to consider it a commercial space, and it has to meet not the residential code, but the international building code. Fire extinguishers, smoke alarms, carbon
You're
monoxide.
complying with all that?
I think so, yeah.
Well, you were doing inspections throughout, and so.
Right.
Yeah.
So it should be there, right?
Right, so hopefully he's compliant with everything you need to see there.
Mhm.
No, it should be. I mean, he's got to this point.
Right.
It's got to
Yeah.
You know, they did a fine job on the place. It was an eyesore before, and now it's beautiful.
It is.
I love the lights on the doors.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Nice.
Beautiful job.
So you're in a weird spot.
You're in a
And to be clear, we'll do whatever you.
It doesn't actually say the address.
Thank you for coming here.
Oh, here it is, 6300.
Okay, so it sounds like I'll work with Howie.
Yeah.
I know, we go past it all the time.
So let's talk.
Yeah, I'll get sent an email. Thank you.
All right. All right, that's it for old business and new business and communications. I guess that's it. The board would like to go into executive session to discuss some personnel issues.
Well, do you have to close this meeting first?
No, it's in the
No
meeting.
minutes.
You have to come back to
Can I
adjourn
just say one
after.
thing on the communications? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Interrupted earlier. Just, with Brett Gosh, this training opportunity, it would be helpful if you all had the same day and time. If you ever wanted to discuss like a Tuesday at 3, would be great to do the training with all of you.
Instead of me saying send me more info and then not reading any of the other.
No, just, I mean, I was told to just say, like, if you want to discuss the time.
What is the training about?
This one is for flood stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Looks like flood map basics is 2 hours, flood insurance basics are 2 hours. Here. Elevation certificates basic 2 hours. Flood encroachment, no rise certification basics 2 hours. Just putting it out there, if you guys can gather a time and day, if we more than one to attend, it would be great.
Well, we're trying to coordinate with the zoning board as well to attend, all of us together if possible.
So that's the only day that you can do it, right?
No, I don't know. I just was told to check with you all to see if you have some time in common to get more.
Tuesday's fine.
I just made up
Wednesday night, the
Tuesdays.
second Wednesday of every month.
I just made up Tuesdays at 3. I just made that up as an example.
Well, Sam has said he'd be available in the evenings only.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
most people probably would.
Right. And it is the second the last 2 trainings that the zoning board people were interested in especially.
Elevation and floodway encroachment?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, this is a start. Sam likes nights and zoning board likes the last 2. Thank you.
Okay.
Liz, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm gonna start recording now.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I need to leave?
No.
Usually.
Yeah, it's like just the board.
It's just the
Secretary?
It's not recorded.
I'm gonna turn off the recorder.
Yeah.
So you close this meeting,
No, they can't close the meeting, but we all leave.
but they close the meeting, go to executive
No,
session.
you have to come back and adjourn.
We have to come back.
Unfortunately.
Which is different how we do it.
I learned it's fine. All right. And then, but yeah, I think the communication will be better.
You ready, Alan? Yeah. All right.
Okay, we're back in the regular meeting. We have no further business to discuss. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn.
You have to say that it was bad and how it was resolved.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, sorry. We were discussing personnel issues within the town and the board. And Robert's Rules of Order. And we just came to a satisfactory
And the
conclusion
master plan.
And the master plan.
of our discussion. Now, motion,
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Good night, thank you, everybody.
Yep,
Good night.
all in favor?
Aye.
You said it right away.
Good night, Sam.
Who seconded that? I'm sorry.
Good night, Sam.
All right, thank you.
Everybody.
Yeah, I know.
We all did.
Oh.
Oh, look, you better don't fall asleep on the
Yeah, I hope not.
I think it's 100 degrees in here tonight.
Yes, I will not leave.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Hey, I got up as early as you, very early. Before I went up at like 4:15.
Oh, you do all right. I'm at 5.
Every day. Like 8.
Good job. Thank you. Wait.
if I want to sleep.
No, you're not gonna give me more.
No, these aren't yours.
Oh.
These are Alan's.
I was gonna say, gosh, darn it.
It was good to see you, Alan.
Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you.
Recycle?
Yeah, the whole batch is recycled.
Great, thank you.
And the boulders are up there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I'll get the mobile please.
No, it's okay. No, it's all good, thank you.
Joanne, I'll have to get some signatures.
For what? Why, you need it now? You need it now?
Well, we need it next week.
Okay. All right. As long as I wanted to come to the meeting all day, I couldn't get there. Who's it for?
For the county legislature,
Good night, Joanne.
And I,
it's parity, but the $7 is in reserve.